What's going on, guys? It's Alpha here. Thanks for joining me for another Puzzle and Dragons video. Today we are hopping into the final part of the Descended Challenge here. This is Descended Challenge 7. This is the third part, and this is Wadatsumi Descended, which is Awoken Skills Invalid. So you see here, I'm working with my Raw Dragon team, and while making all of the needed combos with Raw Dragon would be quite a challenge with no Awoken skills. I'm paired up with a Halloween Thoth and Sopdet, whose leader skill gives them an additional 5 seconds of movement time. So you kind of get, well, it's not, I think, quite as much movement time that you would get working with a regular Raw Dragon. You get quite a bit, and you're able to make the combos that you need to here. And I think a full multiplier puts you somewhere around a 20-something X. I don't know. At some point, I'll probably hit it, hopefully. And let's see, is that it? There we go, a 28X. And then, of course, there's a passive multiplier and the leader skill for Raw Dragon. So it's a bit higher for the rest of the team, but I don't think Thoth and Sopdet are gods. Actually, let me check, because otherwise someone will leave it in the comments that I got it wrong. Let's see. So moving on, we got some dragon guy messes everything up. You know, he's on a big old countdown, so you know that if you give him enough time, he's gonna wreck you. Let's see what we got here. Playful star gods, Thoth and Sopdet. Oh, they're gods. Okay, so they get the full multiplier as well. And the leader skill is light, dark, and heart. So when you match all three of those, so it obviously everything falls within Raw Dragon's leader skill for color matching, because you have to match every single orb type to fully activate him. Now, one other thing to consider, you can see here I'm on, what stage is third stage? Second stage. It takes a while. But basically, because we have all the Awoken skills invalid, that means that you have no skill boost. So without the skill boost, it takes a while to get those active skills up, which is why I stalled out to get all the way down to that last countdown there before I decide to take out the, what's this guy? Who was he? Red Ice Leviathan, whatever. So here, really, the name of the game was just match up and get rid of those jammers. And of course, I do the worst possible thing, which is leave one jammer on the board. So that's gonna just be sitting there haunting me until you use a Dark Kali active to set up a new board. So you can see here we do a pretty good job matching. We're missing. Did we miss something? I think we got everything there. Okay, so moving on to Umisachi and Yamasachi. So these guys can be kind of tough, and honestly, if I did a little better prep, I would have put Awoken Isis all the way to the left so that the wood attribute Absorb wouldn't affect me quite as much. But you can see, I mean, it's just a sub-attribute. It's not going to be too terrible. And getting a little bit of a Skyfall, we get all the way in there. And even with the Absorb, we're doing okay, and we just have enough hit points to tank that. So now, obviously, a full, let's see, can we fully activate? Yes, we can fully activate. We have a board that we can activate on. And you'll see throughout the dungeon, my brain just doesn't work all the time, and I constantly try and make TPAs. It's just force of habit. I'm like, oh man, I can't mess this one up. Better go with the TPA to make sure I get get the full possible damage. And of course, without Awoken skills, if you don't understand, there's not going to be any TPA. There's no such thing. You're just making straight matches. So I get a good Skyfall here to make sure I get the full activation, and I one-hit the Siren, which puts me all the way to Wadatsumi. And at this point, I can go ahead and pop my Dark Kali. I can pop Isis just to get a shield up for, I mean, why not? And then I could use my Raw Dragon. So I've got my extra movement time here. So now I've got plenty of time to do all my matches. And you can see I kind of start off working, I mean, just kind of classic stacking here. I'm trying to work from bottom to top and picking one side and then working my way over and up. And I just about hit him down, but it's not a full active, and he does have 3 million health, so it's kind of tough to one-shot there. Um, but you can see Isis goes back up because she has such a short cooldown, and I used the Raw Dragon active. So going through, I once again am able to get the full um, leader skill activations for both, and there you go. That is my favorite way to do that dungeon. I've done it. Actually, I think it's only my second time clearing it, but by finding a Halloween Thoth and Sopdet, so arigato Robato there for his Thoth and Sopdet, and it really makes it a lot easier to get through. So, second dungeon we're running here is the Mechanical God, and that is, I guess, Deus Machina is the name of the Descend. So now we're back into the normal realm of Puzzle and Dragons with our Awoken skills. I really wasn't around back when there were no Awoken skills at all in the game, so I'm definitely spoiled by having them, I suppose, and especially by having Raw Dragon with all of his time extends. So you can see here we finally hit a full activation on the second move, and with we didn't quite get all of them, but we could just dink this guy down. We really don't have to worry about activating. So I actually just do that one little movement because I know I'm going to hit him down and clear off some of the light orbs since there were so many. So moving right along, you get a random guy to appear. I get the fire guy who will, he buffs up, he heals himself a bit, and then he will wallop you. So you really don't want to let him hit you. So what you want to do is actually activate and not completely screw up like I just did. So thankfully, I still have a board that I can fully activate on. And you can see here I'm trying to work my way across kind of top to bottom, which is not really the way that I would like to be doing it. And I end up screwing up the Dark Orb match. So I got him down quite a bit though, and now using the 9x multiplier, which is all I have available, I can go ahead and I made light TPA there, which does a fair amount of damage, and I'm able to take this guy out. We have, oh, hey Thor, what's up, dude? He's not doing much. Okay. Anyway, so we're moving on, and we have again another random dragon that's going to appear. Once again, we have a 2-turn countdown. And there's some decent hitting that he'll go through. So, a nice full activation does the job. Like most things that Raw Dragon can output. What's up, dude? All right, hold on. We're gonna pause here. We're gonna pause and see if we get Thor taken care of. Okay, guys, I'm back, and Thor's a happy pup. No worries there. Okay, so getting back to business here, we're dealing with one of the mech dragons here. This is, I guess, Hadar, and he got one-shotted, so he's done. And I mean, they have a decent amount of hit points here. That was a 5 million hit point monster here, and now we're dealing with some of the super evolved golems, and they let's see, they skip a bit, they make some jammers, they skip a bit, and then they kill you. So we managed the 9x multiplier here. So he just he hangs out. I think the next thing he does is make a jammer Skyfall, and then whatever else. I mean, there's nothing too tricky. You just don't want to mess around with him too much. You can see the board here. I can activate on this board, but we have the blue spread out, the red were kind of spread out, and that was about it. But I was able to move across the board pretty well and get that full activation and take out the green golem. So now we have the fully evolved golem, which is what's his name, Sherispoda, and he actually has a resolve that will take away your movement time. But as you know, that really isn't much of a concern for Raw Dragon, because his active will give you movement time, so you can overwrite that. So he kind of he does that kind of thing, and then now he's got like one hit point or 1%, so you can pretty much do anything you want. So I was just trying to figure out exactly what the final stage looks like. So I go ahead and put together a 9x, and it goes into a 64x anyway. So poor guy is just about dead, and I just wallop him. So, okay, moving on to the boss here. We've got 6 million hit points for the Deus Machina, Deus Ex Machina, which I guess translates to God in the Machine or something along those lines. Okay, so obviously I saw the board, and you know what? The board actually looked pretty good. So as you notice, I did not use my Dark Collies. I did, of course, use my Raw Dragon so I could get enough time to make sure I get a full activation in. And I used a TPA, and I just about one shot, but unfortunately, if I made a dark TPA, I think that could have gotten the job done if I was able to do that as well. But a light on light just wasn't quite able to get it done. But I am able to go ahead and get another full activation, and we were able to finish the job there. So there goes Deus Ex Machina. And that was actually, I think it's the first time I cleared that. When the Descent came around, it gave me a little bit of trouble, and I forget what I was doing, if I was farming skill ups or plus eggs or whatever it might have been, but I didn't want to just try multiple times. So once I died on it, I never did it. So that was my first time clearing. Okay, so moving on. The final one, I skipped over Z8 here, guys. I've got a video of me clearing Z8. I did pretty much the same thing, which was use my Bastet team and just kind of whoop up on it. So I started this run in a very horrible way, which was completely messing up a board that was activationable, whatever it is. But anyway, so obviously this is a rogue dungeon, and it is Scarlet's Dungeon, Scarlet Descended, Hell Demon, whatever, which means you start at level 1, and based on the cost of your cards, they will level up for each stage. So, being as I have the Monster Point Dragons, Raw Dragons, which have a 99 cost, you can imagine that they're not going to level up too much. Dark Collie, Red Collie, very high cost, not going to level up too much. So it kind of puts us in a tricky situation where, so just for a little background, I tried, I would say at least 10 runs with Shiva Dragon. I saw some videos of people farming it. I didn't have the exact setup, but I thought I'd be able to pull it off. And man, I was just very wrong. I was definitely not able to pull it off. And this dungeon, it just leaves no room for error. And the Shiva Dragon setup had, I forget exactly who it was, but there was some, some haste involved that I didn't have available, or some low countdown actives, whatever it was. I just didn't have it going on, and I couldn't get through with those active with the setup. So I went for Raw Dragon. I knew that he's capable of it. Raw Dragon is pretty much capable of anything, but you're pretty much looking at full activation or bust a lot of the time. So you can see here I managed, I don't know what I was doing right there. I had like a good activation, and I set my Dark Orb right in the middle of all those lights, which totally turned off my activation. And now I'm looking at a board that I can't fully activate on, which means I'll be dying, especially because the orbs I was lacking were heart orbs. So here, obviously with the Dark Collie, we have a board that we're guaranteed to be able to activate on. And thankfully I go ahead and do just that, which gets me the heal, which is just as important as my attack. And because she has a defense to light and dark, obviously it's going to take a little bit to kind of grind her down. So it's just kind of a matter of, not dying, which is something that I was tending to do quite a bit on on the dungeon. But I do get, again, a full activation with some Skyfall, so that's going to take care of the Green Grimoire. So we move right on to the Leviathan here, and thankfully he does a green bind if you have anyone that is wood on your team. And I had the Woken Isis all queued up, so that stops him from blinding your board, which is really helpful when you're on a 2-turn countdown. And you can see here, I work him down quite a bit. And he actually, what's his move? It doesn't kill you. Oh yeah, he'll hit 18,000. I guess for this team it would without a shield up. For my Shiva Dragon team, I think I was able to tank it because I had lower cost cards, so they leveled up a bit better. But I got the shield up specifically because this is Indra's shield, obviously, not Isis's shield, because next stage could hold Divine Queen Hera, who's got that big, beefy preemptive that is, what is it, about 30,000? 24,000. I was thinking of the Arena 2, which I was looking at today and just absolutely dreading where she does. I think she does over 30,000 there. But anyways, we get a full activation, so my Sky falls and Leviathan goes down. And here comes Hera, not Divine Queen Hera. And Divine Queen Hera is actually kind of the easier option. As long as you have a shield up, we're going to survive the preemptive. She has less hit points, she hits for less, and she doesn't mess you up with these Skyfalls. Obviously, a color match lead, any sort of ongoing Skyfall is going to, get the board looking kind of skewed towards that color. So, and you can see here, I had some cascades set up, and I'd mess up the whole thing. It kind of sucked. So everything got kind of messed up there, but what are you gonna do? At this point, I'm trying to look at her abilities, what she's going to be doing next. Am I going to be able to survive? Should I use Isis's shield and heal, or do I have to worry about binds later on? And also just trying to time what it's going to look like when I'm trying to actually go against Scarlet, because that's no walk in the park either. You can see here I get hit. I have no hearts left on the board. Well, I only have 2 hearts. I cannot match. I cannot heal. So we're kind of left with no other option than to use a Dark Colleague to try and wrap this thing up. So with a fully activational board here, so if I start on the bottom there, I'm looking at getting those reds lined up and then getting the darks put on top of them. That would be the move there, since they're just kind of right there. So that's kind of how I like to work the boards, to set up on the bottom and work my way up. Most likely working the bottom couple matches and then working the top half of the board, or I guess the top 3/5 of the board. Okay, so anyways, we were able to last long enough that the red Collie's active is back up, which is good because we're definitely going to need it. And she starts off with this damage shield where you cannot do over, what is the amount? 100,000. So really, you're not going to do much against her here. And it's kind of a pain because she buffs her attack, so it's going to be a 16,000 attack coming in. So I can actually tank it here, which is good, because I was unable to get past that with Shiva Dragon sometimes, where I was cycling through my shield and I couldn't get it back up. I was using Dark Izanami in that case. Anyways, obviously we can't really do much damage here, so I'm just trying to clear off the board a bit, just do whatever. And now it's kind of go time here. So we could heal. We have a fully activational board here. The darks are a bit spread out. We got them on either sides. And at this point, too, I have to say, Scarlet is in my head big time because I have run this dungeon so many times. And it was just something that it was quite a challenge. I'll just leave it at that. It was a pretty big challenge, and it was taking me quite a while. So I was just kind of going a little crazy trying to get this thing done. Major props to all those guys with a fully skilled up Scarlet, because obviously that means that you farm the dungeon quite successfully. So that's pretty amazing, because I did not have an easy time doing any of that. So anyways, moving on, we just kind of We used the Red Collie, we used an Isis to get a bit of a shield, we used a Rod Dragon to make sure we have plenty of time to make the matches, and now we're really trying to take this all out here. As you can see, I don't have any actives up after this, aside from Rod Dragon, so I do have that haste that I can kind of work with there, but I go out of my way to make sure I am making a light TPA up at the top there. So with the light TPA, I'm able to get a pretty decent chunk of damage, and that's enough to one-shot Scarlet. And that is a dungeon I am not going to be touching for quite a while. And that kind of concludes the Challenge Descend there. So that was Challenge Descend 7. That was every dungeon. I missed a few. I don't think I recorded them, a few earlier ones. And I didn't do Z8 because I had already gotten that done. But there we go, guys. That was a full set of challenge dungeons, or challenge descends, I should say. Once again, thanks to GSTG for his Rod Dragon. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks a lot. Take care.